Mohan.
Hi, I'm Maya Mohan.
And this is Showbuzz. So every week we watch one of our favorite shows. And this week we watched The Walking Dead, Season 6, Episode 7, Heads Up.
And today we're really excited because we've got our really good friend Natalie Mercandetti joining us from Pennsylvania. And she's joining us with her cute little niece, Cora. Hi, Cora.
Hi, Natalie. Hi, Cora.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having us.
Not a lot of stuff happened in this episode. It's kind of boring.
Yeah, I was really disappointed.
Just kidding!
It was awesome!
The first 5 seconds, you had no time to process what was going on.
Well, in this episode, Glenn finally makes a comeback, and we're really excited to see Glenn back.
He just slithered right out of that dumpster.
That really makes me think that I do need to get on that Glenn Reed diet because there's no way I would have fit up under a dumpster.
Nat, you would totally fit under a dumpster. We have a picture of this girl in a tote bag.
That's a good point. That's a good point. However, I think I would be a little claustrophobic under a dumpster, especially when there's walker heads surrounding it. I thought it was funny that an entire herd of walkers would be distracted by a can rolling down. I thought that was a little silly, but I will take liberties with this show.
So having said all that, we all love the show and are huge fans, or otherwise we wouldn't be talking about it. But I do have one slight issue with what happened.
Here we go again.
They supposedly killed off Glenn in episode 3, and then they stretched this thing out till just now. Yeah, and it wasn't this huge revelation once he was found to be alive. I would have enjoyed it a lot more if he had been found by Negan's people. Exactly.
Cora, no, she's on my side on this. Cora also thinks that it was unbelievable that in the first second of the episode that you see Glenn.
He climbed out from under the dumpster and then it was business as usual.
So Nat, what did you think about Glenn's return?
To have him die in a very unceremonious, terrible way. It came on suddenly. He didn't get to say goodbye to anybody. No one knew it was happening. And it all happened because, he tried to help somebody out. So it was completely unfair. And I liked that about the show because if he was dead, that would be kind of realistic. As difficult as it was to watch that happen and think that he was dead, it felt like the show had a lot of integrity for doing things that way. So I guess in terms of the writing, I was a little disappointed that he came back so easily.
Well, the other thing too that makes me think of is Scott M. Gimple's statement after episode 3 where he's like, you'll see Glenn again in some form.
Even with the way that they killed off Nicholas, with Nicholas's body laying over top of Glenn, they didn't really show his face until this episode. But you're right, my whole thing is there was no reason for them to stretch Glenn's death out for 3 episodes. They could have easily have done that all in 1 episode, or at least, back to back.
But isn't that good writing when it can evoke such emotion? The internet went bananas for weeks about Glenn.
We're totally happy to see Glenn back. I mean, he was he's a huge character in this show. So now they've got their original posse back, so it's time to roll.
Do you see him embodying kind of these fatherly qualities and traits now with Enid?
I'm just escaping from a horde of zombies. I'm crawling out from a dumpster and, hey Enid, let me chase you down and see where you're going. No, that wouldn't happen for me. I would be like, Enid, come with me. No, okay, well, I'll see you later.
Well, when the show was brand new, we first get introduced to Glenn, and he's sort of this kid that goes out and makes these runs by himself. And he's sort of petulant the way that he interacts with other people. And it definitely reminds me of how Enid was in this episode, but sort of Rick takes him under his wing. He becomes more part of the group. And then he does the same thing for Enid.
The rumor on the internet is that Enid is a wolf. So I don't really see that because she's being so weird. But what do you think, Natalie? Is Enid a wolf?
She might be a little reckless. Who knows? Maybe she doesn't care if she lives or dies. Actually, one good reason why she wouldn't be one of the wolves, if she is part of that group or cult, is that, she saved Glenn's life. She could have killed him and she would have had the obligation to kill him, but she didn't.
We got to talk about just the amazing moment with Rick ripping down Father Gabriel's prayer circle signs. Dude, why is he still on this show?
He is such a nuisance, and like I was telling you guys before, that's the same thing, him ripping the flyer down, as just like pushing Father Gabriel aside. He should have just shoved him.
The thing that bothers me is that Father Gabriel is not like a character that you love to hate. I just hate him. Just hate it.
The fact that Father Gabriel's still around, and that means they've planned something for him. I just don't know what that is. Like, he's gonna have a bigger role to play later on in the show.
So, Nat, what did you think of the little gun lesson that Rick was giving Carl and Ron?
Well, I thought it was kind of funny in a sick way that Carl and Rick were teaching Ron how to shoot at Carl.
One point in the show when I was kind of rooting for Ron to shoot Carl because Carl was being so like sarcastic. When he said to Ron, he's like, "You gotta wait for your moment." I was like, Ron, just go ahead and shoot Carl because like he's being such a sarcastic dick right now.
I know, Carl was being really annoying.
You can see Ron looking at him like, dude, I just can't wait till I put a cap in your ass.
I'll wait to bust a cap in your ass.
Rick finally had the talk with Morgan that we all knew was coming. I think it was actually really important meeting because Rick was like, hey, look, man, like we're in the middle of this thing going down and you can't be this pacifist anymore. Like you're gonna have blood on your hands whether you like it or not. I also felt Morgan made a really good point because Morgan was saying how, hey, Rick, you saved me, and what if you hadn't saved my life? I could have easily have killed you.
Rick knew Morgan before he went crazy. So he already met a guy who took him in, saved him, fed him. He got a sense of who Morgan was, and then he saw him after. So at least he had a baseline.
I thought it was really interesting that Carol followed Morgan down to that dungeon to see what was going on. Like, Carol was about to go ham on Morgan.
So I thought it was cool that Rosita was somebody was teaching these Alexandrians what the hell to do in a zombie apocalypse.
I thought she was getting a little sassy with Eugene there. I thought that was kind of weird.
First, you do the head, then you do the finger, then you talk through the nose, and then you give a lot of attitude. That's how it works.
Are we ever going to find out how Rick got out of that RV? Are they just not going to talk about that? Are we not, like, he escaped these zombies and he had a hurt hand, but we're just going to bypass all that and we're going to get to the rest of the story.
I'm actually kind of annoyed that they didn't show us. The reason being, you rarely see Rick panicking in this show. And in that RV scene, he had this face like he was going to die and he knew it.
One thing this season I think has done really well is they leave out all these loose ends and then they start tying them off. Like we've started touching on, like even the little note from David to Betsy. If you see this, that means that I'm a zombie.
That's actually really cool.
The scene with Spencer trying to be useful, I guess he saw a need and decided, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm not gonna ask anybody. I'm just gonna like do it myself because I think I'm totally qualified. Tara's very sweet. She's very thoughtful. She's always looking out for other people. But I loved it when she flipped Rick off.
Totally. Rick needed that.
She's the only one that has like the cojones to step up to Rick. Like even Michonne wouldn't do that to Rick.
I really want Rick to be this great leader, but then he does stupid things like scream at Tara for doing the right thing. And his rationale was so selfish.
I thought it was funny that Deanna walked up to Rick right in the middle of all this stuff. She was like, hey, look at these plans. Like, we could put like a Walmart right here.
Someone has to be the planner.
Can we talk about where we're going to put the mall after we take care of this zombie horde?
I volunteer to be the interior decorator for Alexandria.
I couldn't believe that, like, in all of this, like, mayhem that's happened, that people weren't thinking about the structural integrity of this building that was rammed into by a giant like semi.
At the beginning of the episode, it was complete foreshadowing for what was going to happen at the end. You saw, this is when Rick pointed to a hole in the wall that was oozing blood. And in that same shot, the camera pans up to the tower and then they changed the scene.
They probably wouldn't have like put one and one together and like, oh, I saw that piece of wood falling, so that means the whole structure is about to come down.
What is gonna happen? Jesus.
Everyone's dead. Everybody. They're all dead.
Everyone's dead.
Everyone's dead.
So that was our show for this week. What did you think? Leave your comments down in the box below.
And remember to subscribe to this channel so you'll get notified anytime we upload a new video. And we want to thank our awesome guests, Nat and Cora. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, you guys.
Talk to you later.